Okay. Welcome everyone to the first orientation day, more specifically the finance track. This lecture is brought to you by Christophe de Pape from FinVision, and he will talk about his experiences within finance and within the company FinVision itself. Also, don't hesitate to ask questions via the chat function here via YouTube. Benoit and I will follow up through the lecture and ask them to Christophe directly. Hereby, I give you the floor, Christophe. Good luck.
Okay. Thank you, Anne. Hello, all of you watching. Let's kick off the first orientation day on finance. First, I call you welcome. Most of you will not know FinVision, I guess, but or may have met someone of FinVision at one of the career days. Today is more a kind of a testimonial on myself, on how I got through my career until today. Just to give you a kind of reflection on the major decisions I had to take after I graduated, and to see how a career can develop in finance, and what my reflections and experiences are. So today we're 2021. I started off in university in 1991, which is 30 years ago. So I graduated in 1996. I studied in Leuven at the KUL business engineering. After I had more maths and science in secondary level. And afterwards, I took my first decision to join at that moment a big audit firm, which was Arthur Andersen, which is already not existing anymore, but was one of the big six players. Whereas today there's still the big four, which are on. I was there during 6 years. Afterwards, I joined the member firm of Grant Thornton in Belgium in 2002. That was after Andersen decided to end and to join Deloitte. And then between 2002 and 2012, I had the experience of working with a mid-sized audit firm, which is Grant Thornton, which in 2012 was acquired by Ernst & Young in Belgium. There is still a Grant Thornton in Belgium, but which is another member firm at the moment. For me, that was the moment where I needed to decide again on the following step in my career. And then we started up FinVision, and that's a couple of other founders as well, and myself started up FinVision as a greenfield startup, and we're in business now for 9 years, and that's where I am still today. On a personal level, I married. So 3 years after I graduated, I married my wife Sandy. I'm proud father of 4 sons, and to keep the batteries high, I like to run and cycle. And you will maybe you will say, okay, why is that important? But it's in order to combine a busy life. It's also good to make sure that you have sufficient other activities as well to keep up the batteries. Other items I enjoy doing is going into nature, if it's either on mountain bike or walking, traveling, and listening to music. So on a professional life, so as I said, I was an auditor between 1996 and 2008, and still am. And I was I have my IBR title of IBR bedrijfsrevisor since 2002. So in 2008, my career shifted somewhat from audit towards transaction advisory, which is more intervening in transactions, meaning that that one party buys either assets or a company from another company, and that includes mainly for me being active in what is called due diligence, financial and tax due diligence, and also in certain valuations. So my current position within FinVision is partner with, and we call it with a focus on or value for our clients on transactions, valuations, and audit. So that's a brief intro. And maybe I wanted to just reflect on the career steps that I've taken. So in 1996, during my after I was in my last year, I also went to most of the career days and had a lot of interviews. I decided then to join a big audit firm, which was called Arthur Andersen. It was at that moment the smallest of the big four or the big six, and it was also considered to be the best, or they said from themselves they were the best, and I hoped it was that. So why I choose audit and why I choose Arthur Andersen? Well, for me at that stage, was this a career meant to be? I guess no. This was for me a good way to start my career in a reputed firm, which had a very good reputation at that moment, and which I considered to be a good thing on my CV. Going forward, whatever you choose afterwards, hope to find and to learn good things from a good company. So first of all, I think one of the things you have to decide for yourself is, okay, will I join a company more from an internal side, or join a more kind of consulting firm and then do more client-facing work? For me, I was always I find my I have a great how do you call it? I just like to help companies and people. So for me, the choice to do consulting work, or as an auditor, you're also kind of consultant in the sense that you are with clients all the time, and that in that way you can make a difference. You're really on the production side of a company, production of hours that is, and not on a support side, which means that in a career development, this is also something which, if you're more active on the production, in the sense on consulting itself, this is if you want to make a career, I think that's always a good starting point. Why audit? Well, from the stories I heard, was that you had a high variation in work, and actually that's also the case. Mostly you're with clients for a couple of days to maximum 2, maybe in one occasion on a year, 3 weeks per year at one client. So that means that you have at least 20 to 30 clients that you face, and that's really a nice thing, because at that moment you see different environments, you see different ways of working, you see different systems that your clients work with. So an audit really helps you to try to understand the historical financials. It's in a sense you dig down into the financials, through the assets, through the liabilities, through the P&L. There's a lot of work to do in an audit, and in doing so, you really have a good grip on what the risks are of every caption in the financial statements. You also learn to understand how financial reporting processes work. Financial processes of a company, which are really the transactional sides. See how the cash to the sales cycle, so the cash to the order to cash cycle works, how your inventory cycle works, how the judgmental areas in a annual account, how those are set up. You see the impact of valuation rules and changes in valuation rules. So this is really a very good way to learn on financials. The reason I chose Arthur Andersen is, okay, you in careers days that you will also be in, you will see a lot of people, but you also sense a bit the culture of a company. And for me, at that moment, the people I met at Andersen, I thought they were really different than some others that I saw, and that's also I think that I also found when working at Arthur Andersen, that a very strong one firm approach, meaning that there was one partnership worldwide, which means that whether you're in talks with someone in London or in New York or in Spain, everybody's working in the same way. And I think, for me, that was a very interesting experience. On the other hand, big firms, they also tend to focus strongly on titles and roles, which also means that as a youngster, for me, that was I was first an assistant, and as an assistant, they had really a planned work to do, and what not to do. Also, as so every level, it is what is sometimes said to be it's up or out. Each year you get a new role, and or you transition outside of the firm, and that was the case. And it's also a bit the cornerstone of such firms, that it is really structured. And okay, sometimes what I really learned in the rest of my career is that titles are maybe not that important in the heads of clients, but more in the heads of the people working there. What I also learned at Arthur Andersen was really the clients. We had Arthur Andersen had a good reputation, and it was also the credo of exceed, which was drilled into you from the first day, and it meant exceeding client expectations every day. Well, you could say it's a kind of belief, but it's really something which was very important on both in the culture and the way that we interacted with our clients. So what for me, seen afterwards, what were the elements that I said, okay, this is something I need to retain or learn from for the rest of my career, was that really a strong internal culture can really drive an organization. That's something for sure. And when you join a company, I think you should very well focus on the culture or the people that you interact with. Is this something which can drive me and drive me towards making sure that I can make myself better? At that time, Anderson was one of the only one which has the really fully aligned audit approach. At that time, when we looked at the working papers, also from now the remaining Big Four, they were not that integrated at that point in time. What I also learned is that in 2002, Arthur Anderson was involved in the Enron fraud as an auditor, and they were claimed to be partly responsible in fact that they tried to conceal certain errors by destroying some working papers. So it also means that even big firms, they're not exempt from collapse, and even one fraud in a team which is far abroad can also mean that this has an enormous impact on careers of a lot of people. One of the things that if you choose to become an auditor in a big firm, mostly you are only doing work in the service line audit, which is where you're heavily trained for, but only for that, which means that you're not being a generalist. And certainly when you evolve in time, this can mean that this sometimes feel that you're very good in the work that you're doing, but that you sometimes feel, am I not getting into a kind of golden cage where you're well paid, but can only do one thing which is good for that firm, and maybe not always so easy to go to leverage on your experience in either other firms or at a certain point in time where you say, okay, my learning curve is flattening. What you also certainly for big international firms, you get also a lot of referred in work, which is what is called easy in the sense that there's never a discussion on fees. Certainly, when you grow into your role and you get more responsibilities, one of the elements that you also need to discuss is annual the fees and so on. And if you're doing referred work, that's mostly never a problem. On the other hand, you mostly have, when it's referred in clients, which is subsidiaries of multinationals, then you sometimes have the impression that, okay, whatever you can tell the local management, it's still local management that really does not always have the decision power locally. So for me, certainly as maybe not as a junior person, but once you get 3 to 6 years of experience, sometimes you say, okay, the relevance of my work is sometimes somewhat more limited because the people that really make the decisions are not the people that you are facing. What I also learned is that whenever you want to progress into a firm, and you say, okay, today I'm a junior, well, in order to move on in your career, start thinking yourself really, when you're a junior, start thinking as a senior, making sure that you review files, that you face clients with the way that you think that a senior should focus on, and then people tend to see you as it is normal that you are already a senior, so becoming a senior is never a point. And same things, same thing is there if you want to become a manager. Well, act as a manager, and you will become a manager. And so that's a giveaway or a takeaway that I give you. And also, if in a certain way, it is always difficult to these firms, they really recruit juniors to train them as their future seniors and their future managers. And what I also learned is that the best seniors you get, certainly as a manager, are those that you train yourself as a junior. So that was also kind of lesson learned, and which is also today still a very valid point. And on audit, I certainly want to say that audit is certainly more than debits and credits, and making and proposing adjustments on the P&L or on the balance sheet. It is largely up to yourself to go and understand the business. And whenever you understand the business, you're also more valid in making recommendations to management or to the finance people, and you're seen as eager to understand them, and they are more accepting any recommendation that you make. Yeah? So that was my 6 years in Arthur Andersen. So in 2002, that came to an end with the Enron issues that Arthur Andersen faced. For me, I said, okay, I don't want to go into another big four, which was Deloitte, which was the firm that acquired the Andersen people at that time. I decided then to move on to another firm, which was Grant Thornton Lippens Rabai at that time. So for me, at that point in time, I had the experience of being a 1 year audit manager, and where the role really was to manage. It was not longer you're in charge and doing a lot of work at the clients. It was mainly making sure that you keep the audits up and running, and that you supervise the fees, and then making sure that the job arrangement letters were made, and keep an eye on cross-selling and whatever, and negotiating fees with either other offices abroad or so for me, content-wise, that was also a reason why I decided to move on and then go work in a medium-sized audit firm, which was Grant Thornton Lippens Rabai at that time, which had a good reputation in the market, a nice client portfolio, with a mix of mainly Belgium located listed companies. At that time, it was like Mitiska, Brantano, Inogenetics, a lot of names which are not there anymore. But being there, it's also a change in your work, and being very close to decision makers, because if it's local clients, the finance teams, the CEOs that you're facing, they're the owners, they're the ones that make the decisions. Even if it's family owned, it's the people who have a real interest in the business, and all the recommendations that you make as an auditor, they will try to take it away and make sure that they act on it, because it's their business. At that point in time, also the fact that even if you're an auditor, you're also doing more all-round things. If you're working for family-owned business, well, there's certainly questions also on other items. They don't consider you as purely the auditor, and which needs assistance of a tax department or a legal department or whatever. No, they want you as a kind of also an advisor in first line. You still have second lines, and you still have departments internally, but they will look at you and make sure that you can advise them, advise them in a first in your first role, and try to limit down the issues or the things that they are facing, to make sure that it is a limited question, that then okay, they really have an idea of where the criticality is, and then you give it back to people who are the experts. But in such an environment, you will really be more kind of generalist in the way that you try to work, and also in the questions you receive. You will get more, you will become more generalist, and make sure that you have an idea on not only taxation, but also on acquisitions, on due diligence, on valuations. You will be the first in line to help them, and they will ask you in first instance. Also, when you're outside a big four company, or at that time a big six, you also see that it's not only the internal titles that matter, but also the external titles. So I also try to focus on getting my recognition as bedrijfsrevisor, as statutory auditor. And make sure that this is something that you will always have in your career. It's a professional recognition, which is totally is separate from your recognition in your role as manager or whatever. Also, at that time, everyone was working not as a employee, but as a self-employed person. So I also could see what it meant to face some items like doing your own accounting, and doing your own VAT declaration, and your annual income tax declaration. So that was also very learnful. And then in 2008, for me, that was at the time that I was around 35 years of age. Yeah, okay, that's also a time where you really want to make sure that that you can earn your partnership, and make sure you get the recognition on your contribution to the firm. For me, that was very difficult to do that within audit. Audit was at that moment in time, after the growth years, which really were there until 2000, 2002 maybe. At that point in time, since 2003, 4, the audit market was more a mature market, and where there's not much of significant new obligations of new companies that needed to get an audit. So yeah, at that point in time, when you want to you have the ambition to grow as to become a partner, well, then you try to make your own business. And for me, that was trying to set up a separate department, which was the transaction advisory department, or transaction advisory services department. And well, for me, that was also a good thing. I was a bit tired of doing the audits. Was very efficient in it, but sometimes you feel like you want to learn something new, or do something else, and try to leverage on your own experience that you had. For me, at that time, doing a lot of audits, and it was also making sure that you try to do sufficient things that could make you stand out of. And for me, that was the transaction advisory. It was really starting from zero. Okay, you have the support of your other partners in the team, but you have to try to build your own business, make your first successes, client successes, win your proposals, And yeah, okay, what is really there is that, okay, this is really something which is, it is never given on a plateau. It's really making sure you focus on the right type of clients, on the right type of work, making sure that you really listen to what the clients need, and try to win by not giving a standard product, but making sure that you reflect what the clients want, and so if I look back at all my years at Grant Thornton, what are the learning of the lessons learned that I got away with, is that well, I think every mid-tier company, and for me mid-tier, that's everything from BDO and downwards, is still mostly local companies with local partnerships, with approaches which are, and maybe but it's really each organization has its own approach, and that's not not always wrong, but it's just a fact. What what you also what I also learned is that a small organization, or a smaller organization, is really still driven by a number of individuals, which also means that if you're one of the individuals that want to bring about some change, or some want to do things, that's certainly a smaller organization will more likely will more likely be a place where you will flourish. And initiatives taken by individuals can make a change on the organization. At Grant Thornton Lippes Rabai, I worked a lot with the founding partners, which is, if I look back at my work at Arthur Andersen, there really was a strong culture, but that was a really strong company culture. What is really the difference with smaller organizations is that the founding partners, they embody the DNA and the culture of the company, and most of the rest of the people working there, I try to embody that same DNA and that same culture. And with just looking at how they were successful in doing and in building the company, there's a lot of things to learn. The way that they approach clients, the way that they approach client issues, the way that they try to win, try to leverage on their network. There's a lot to learn if you have the right people around you. What I also learned is that you are also the only one person which is responsible for your own career. Never think that another will think of you, but they will think of you, and there will certainly be opportunities that arise, and that they will ask you if you're interested. But if you have such an opportunity, you can always easily say no, but chances are that such opportunities never come back. So either you take them, and for me that was at a certain point in time in 2008, one of the founding partners who said, okay, we're looking to recruit a person in transactions, and I said, okay, well, that's new for me. Maybe that's something that might interest me. And in just proposing that, he said, okay, maybe that would be a good idea, and then I'll talk to the other partners on it, and make sure that in such, if we agree, and I will support you on that. we will move on, and that's you need the trust, you need and you will get opportunities during a career, but make sure that you see the opportunities. Also working at Grant Thornton, there's a lot of local clients, and local clients, they're most difficult to be won, but they mostly remain very loyal to really to the persons that won the engagement, even if it was the founder or someone else. But okay, clients are you always have clients that will hop on, hop off, but most of people in business, they really want to work with people they trust and work on the long run. So well, that's for me was very important. And the other points I think I already discussed. So in 2012, Grant Thornton was acquired by Ernst & Young. At that time, at that moment in time, I was 40. I had a difficult year. My wife also was diagnosed with cancer. Luckily, she's one of the survivors. But okay, difficult time on the personal side, difficult time on the professional side. Being in an acquisition with Ernst & Young, trying to trust your fellow partners on making sure that they see for your position. Unluckily, I was facing the thing that they were really making sure their own positions were fine, and I said, okay, maybe there's somewhat distrust, and I need to move on and make sure that once I further make my decisions, we do it with people we fully trust, and that's where FinVision comes in. FinVision, which was at that time not really called FinVision, but was three local offices which were started as greenfields in Kortrijk, in Brussels, and in Hasselt. At that moment, with each office with maximum between 3 to 12 people, and one of the partners in Kortrijk, he said, Christophe, we work together at Arthur Andersen. You should really join us, and we're trying to make an alliance between 3 offices, and then we're starting something, and it looks nice, and I would like you have on board. So also for me, that was also it was a bit of a crisis year, 2012, and I really needed a kind of new opportunity, new white page where I could start working. And for me, FinVision came at the right time. We also choose directly to work under the name FinVision, which is really the abbreviation of finance with vision. And okay, this is a new way to start, and there's a lot of decisions to make, because at that time you really need to think on okay, the way that you try to service your clients, on the quality you want to do, on the types of clients, so there's a lot of decisions to make. Also internal quality. You don't have a brand like Grant Thornton or other brands, so you really have to make the difference with your your personal experience, with listening to the clients. But you get opportunities, and it's always making sure you seize the opportunity, and you try to leverage upon the credentials that you have. And once you have certain credentials of working for certain companies, it's always easier to have access to other companies, and that's what we did. If we look at we try to make sure that we made our own mission statement, our values, which is vision, which stands for verbondenheid, integriteit, snelheid, inzicht, ondernemerschap, nuchterheid, which is being engaged and being shown integrity, speed in working, giving insight to your clients, being entrepreneurial, being down to earth, which is really, I think, a lot of items, integrity, quality. This is in every firm, but making that extra step to make sure that you give speed in your service. That's not always easy in a big firm. You provide insight. It's making sure that you have a story to tell to your clients. So what we also saw there is that whereas you are trained a lot on soft skills, on hard skills in big firms, we try to focus enormously on soft skills. It's there that it's the people that really make the difference in combination with hard skills. So it's a lot of focus on analysis, but also making sure that what is the key message, what is the key takeaway for your client. And it's we respect enormously the keep it simple principle. We consider ourselves as specialized generalist, which is meaning that okay, you have a sufficient level of specialization, but you're also being able to connect with your client as being a generalist. So in our firm, we said, okay, we don't want people to have to work only in one service line. We try to have teams that combine certain service lines. So I'm heading now in the team in Waregem, which is a combined team doing both audits and transaction evaluations. Once you're a partner and a founder of a firm, yeah, you're also really responsible also for the not only of your own success but also the success of and the careers of others. So my takeaways of what I've learned and from is first of all, even if you have at a certain point in time a crisis, is it professional or in private or both? Well, this is mostly a point where you make new decisions, and sometimes those are for the better. Also, making sure that that you always remain grateful to the people that have invested in you, and it's mostly not the firms, but it's people that invest in you. If you also, not always try to make your own success, but mainly focus on the success of your clients. It's if you focus on their success and they're successful, you will grow with your clients. Clients, my experience is clients primarily focus on making sure they try to work with the right people, and if they're at a big brand or not, that's of lesser importance for them. Also, in a partnership, it's also very important at a certain point in time when you would be part of a partnership that, well, each of the partners is complementary. It's like, we sometimes call it being in a kind of marriage. You have to rely on each other. You have to make sometimes difficult discussions internally, and then making sure that you say, okay, this is what we decide upon. And for us, it's also a kind of always a we can mentality. It's never, it's not our service line, or we don't have the experience. If you have if you have an attitude of okay, this is not too difficult, if we have our common sense, we will get a long way, and we can always combine certain expertise from outside our firm to make sure that that we get to the point where we do the things that our clients want us to do. And as partners in a partnership, we should challenge each other and set ambitious targets. And that was the case when we started. We said, okay, we try to do in 5 years, we want to grow to 5 locations and 100 people. And after 5 years, we were in 5 locations and we were 110 people. So it's sometimes you need to be bold and try to live to it. And so what I also learned, soft skills are as essential or even more important as hard skills. It's like you have your graduation. That's a nice thing to have and a first element in your start of your career. But it's only the start point. It's once there, you have to develop not only your further hard skills, but more essentially also your soft skills, working with people, working to get things done, meeting deadlines, motivating people, whatever. Also, when you're growing and successful, you get more attractive. Also for young people to join and making sure that you grow, it's also a very good thing for young people that they're able to grow along with the company. And they move on in their careers. We are also preparing ourselves already for the future, and it's also making sure that we have a platform which enables new partners to onboard and to keep the growth there. Is it only positive? Well, I think there's a lot of positivity. But okay, there's some things that you make sacrifices. It's a lot of work, and it's certainly not 9 to 5 to build your own business. And yeah, there it is important to be able to rely on the families and to have some of your hobbies or sports that can recharge your batteries. And I think it's very crucial to make sure that that you have sufficient balance in your life. And is that a 9 to 5 balance? I think for most of the people it is not, but but you need a certain balance, and you need to make sure that you have some time that you spend off the work. Yeah, I see it's already 10 to 6, but maybe I think for those who have seen FinVision already on the career days, I just wanted to shortly show you what we're doing. We're 5 locations, 135 people now, and this is a bit the spread of services along of the locations. And our ambition for 2025 is to grow the company to 250 people. Again, that seems to be bold, but I think we will not be short of meeting that. We try to refrain a bit of the traditional service lines. We try to think more in kind of solutions for our clients, which is we provide talent, which is from outsourcing people to the CFOs teams of bigger environments. We try to keep the financial overview, which means that okay, it's from top down, making sure that that the figures are there, and providing insight, which you can link to a number of additional service lines. And we also invest in a number of tools, or are distributor of a number of tools which can automate certain processes or make provide certain reliable figures. That's my partner team in Waregem. We're located in this building. And for next year, that means that we try to grow our office in Waregem from 46 to, and we envision to recruit at least 10 people for next year, maybe more. We said, okay, the soft side of the soft skills and making sure that you work as a team, that's very important. It's also well appreciated by our people. So that's a bit taking away the good things that we've learned, and then making sure that we also cultivate the culture that we have of that embodies the vision, values, and also our mentality of we can. I've included here also some testimonials of people that are working with us. Maybe you can read through those, but they really are more testimonial on how they felt of joining FinVision, and how they benefited from it. Yeah, a lot of photos, maybe somewhat compromising, but okay. That's also a way of making sure that we do things which is a bit sometimes out of our comfort zone. Even and also we as a partner are not shy of doing those things. And here the last testimony of Arthur. He was also on one of the on the VEC career days. But maybe in respecting the time, maybe I'll skip that a bit. Also, if I look at the different roles there are in finance, and each role in finance has its own focus areas. If you look at the role of an accountant, which is either a external accountant or an internal accountant within a company, I think the primarily role of an accountant is making sure that the registration of the accounts and of the transactions is properly done. And that's starting with the registration and the transaction cycles. Is everything properly accounted for? Is the VAT compliance met? The focus is, of course, mostly on registering transactions of the past, and which means that they are included in financials, either monthly, quarterly, or annual. So you have the day-to-day operations, and then in closing process, it will also involve making sure that the quality of the closing is properly done. Depreciations are being processed. Inventory movements are being accounted for. The cutoff is properly done. There's a reconciliation with subledgers. You have the client trial balance, supplier trial balance. Does that fit? Does that reconcile? The role is to make sure that the accountant supports every detail of what is in the accounts. He will provide also income tax calculation, making sure that he is looking for tax optimizations where needed, is involved in the consolidation process. So the deliverable of an accountant is more, let's say, the internal accounts, the statutory deposited accounts, and the VAT and the corporate income tax declaration. As a controller, that's also a role that you can go for, and that's more internally in a company, and there your role will be, first of all, to understand the business. You will be involved in sometimes very operational things, but more on a financial side. You will have, as a controller of a business unit, you will have responsibility towards people of sales, of production, of purchasing or hedging, or making sure they are accountable, held accountable for the work. So your role there will mainly focus on preparing budgets or capex analysis, or trying to have a grip on the current year performance. And that's mostly the comparing on either on a monthly or a quarterly basis the year-to-date performance as compared to budget or as compared to last year, making sure that you understand the financial and that you report to it to the appropriate management. So the deliverable there is making the management reporting, or sometimes ad hoc reporting, as giving the analysis which will enable management to adapt their day-to-day decisions and to make the correct decision. You have more kind of sales controlling, and sales controlling will then focus on understanding the development of sales, either by business line or by product group or by client segment, and understanding the margins. So it's very linked to the business. Then you have more kind of plant controlling, which is more focused on production. How is the production process going? Mostly you have standard costing in such environments, and then you have to make analysis on, okay, what is the how are we performing as compared to the optimal production levels that we want, and then try to understand if something is not aligned, where is it missing. I will just get on. As an auditor, well, there your first focus is to your deliverable will be giving an opinion on the annual accounts and the annual report, and that's a more structured way of thinking. You will follow the auditing standards. You will have your assessment of understanding the business. You have to assess the risk associated with the business and with the financial reporting process. But it's more kind of observation, more kind of observational role. Of course, you will have a lot of different environments to see, which is interesting. But it's really on how can I determine the risk of material misstatement? So you use the concept of materiality, tolerable error, judgment. You will try to understand on an overall basis how the financials come to result in the financial statements, and then try to make sure that there's no errors included in the annual statements. On due diligence, that's very other focus. There you have your client is not the public. It's really your the person that you're working for. So your role is to understand the business and also the performance of the last couple of years, to understand the financial position, and all of that to certainly support the assumptions that are withheld in the valuation that was negotiated mostly upfront. So you really try to assess the quality of earnings, and that's mostly trying to reduce the reported EBITDA to the normalized EBITDA, and to understand what is the free cash flow of the business. So the concepts are more where it is, as an auditor, it's more on valuation and controls. In due diligence, it's more on cash flows, but the experience as an auditor will also make sure that you have sufficient sight on how financials work and how you can, if there's errors, you will have a lot of gut feeling on where they are. So there, the work is really in a kind of restricted report, which is only given to your clients and which can be relied upon by banks to also make their financing decision. And then from a banking perspective, if you want to do your role in finance as a banker, well, then your role will be different. You will use the same financials, but you will try to assess, what is the financing need for this business? What is the long-term financing, the short-term financing need? And your role will also be to secure the position of the bank. So it's first of all, okay, what is the earnings potential? So what is the free cash flows in which the company or your client as being the company that needs to repay its debt, they can repay because of the free cash flows from their business. So it's understanding historical performance, but it's also trying to look forward and, okay, what are their business plan and okay, do we need to imply certain sensitivities to see, okay, if they don't have that, is the repayment of the debt at risk or not? And it's also trying to understand what is the real value of the company. Accounting wise, it's all book value, but what is the market value? What is the really the real estate? If you have you require the company to give a mortgage, well, that's where your risk reduction is. If you have a first pledge on the assets, well, it's in case there's a default, you as a bank, you will have the ability to sell off the real estate or to sell off certain assets and be repaid. So it's important that you have to assess your downside risk. And then in terms of not setting your clients at risk, you will also see, okay, what is their current financial position, the additional debt which is there. Is there sufficient EBITDA to cover that debt? Is there debt to equity, debt to the ratios, are there sufficient? And your role will then be either think commercially or to provide the credit committee with a proper credit file so they can decide upon. So voila, that's a bit that I wanted to bring to you to make finance a bit more live from this testimony and with some takeaways that I see from a practitioner side. I hope that was helpful for you. Anne, I don't know if there's still time to take a number of questions.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. It was very interesting. So there were indeed some questions. The first one is, in what company culture do you feel the most happy?
Well, I think that will, for me personally, I was at a certain point in time, I was happy in each culture, but at a certain point, when you face with certain issues, then you really focus on those elements which are restraining yourself. And if it, for me, after Arthur Andersen, it was being in just a silo thinking of just one service category. It is nice if you're first year, but it's less nice if you're a bit more experienced. And in becoming a partner, well, it's where you try to make sure that the company culture is really a reflection of what you are as a person, because that's where you will thrive most. and it will depend person on person. Some persons will thrive more in a more structured environment. Other will thrive more in a big environment. Other will thrive more in a more informal environment.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a clear answer. The next one is of Hippolyte. Is FinVision open to non-Dutch speakers from junior to management roles?
Well, is FinVision open? Well, there's of course we're open for any good candidate. As FinVision, we're still only working in the Flemish area, which means that a lot of the companies they still operate they still operate locally, and they want their advisors to be to be able to service them not in English. They're really, if that's the question, they want to be serviced kind of in the way they but certain services are more open for English because of the fact that like in IFRS consolidation, there we work a lot for big international companies, and yeah, sometimes their language is just English. So it will depend on the role that Hippolyte is searching.
Okay.
But I can imagine that like in audits or in accounting, that if you're in a big firm environment with working for like subsidiaries of US firms or abroad firms, that you will more be involved in linking with finance managers abroad, and that that you will always more work in English as a working language.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Tom. In relation to the growth of the company, are there plans to have departments in Wallonia or even outside of Belgium?
That's also a question which is on our next partner meeting. No. I think we're is this there's still a lot of room to grow our own offices. If some balloon area, if there's some people, I think you need, if certainly being in trying to be in Wallonia is you have also you need people which have a network there, and so we will, if we want to do that step, it will probably be with a kind of office that has some years of track record, and that we try to give them the way of thinking, and add service lines to them, and that they're able to grow with our support. But I think opening ourselves, I think we'll do that with partners.
And about different countries, because now you mainly talked about Wallonia.
Yeah, well, never say never. I think our growth is we want to be ambitious, and then making sure that we realize the potential in our local markets, and which is Flanders and Brussels at this moment, and we'll see what happens.
And now the last question till now, maybe if someone else has another question, you're free to ask them. But the last one is, how important is financial modeling in your day-to-day job?
Well, financial modeling in my day-to-day job. There's certain we're sometimes requested to work to make business plans or to assist and do some modeling. But it's I would say even in our transaction department, that's certainly not a full-time job at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. There's another question now. What are the biggest partners of Envision?
What are the biggest partners?
Yes.
Is that in length or in value? No, it's. I don't think I need to answer that.
Okay. Then there's another one from Sander. How did you attract employees in the early days of Envision?
How did we attract them? Well, we always recruited junior people, so that's something that's in our DNA, and we got from being at the Big Five or Big Six or whatever. We believe in young people. I think you can. Last year there were about 15 young people that started at Finvision Starters, of which our office recruited 9. We really work from junior level, and there's an enthusiasm. How did we recruit in the early days? Well, enthusiasm, making sure that that you sell yourself. It's like it's a bit like selling to clients and making sure you make the story right. And it's not only story; it's making sure that that they understand what you do and want to join it because of seeing the potential for themselves as well.
Mm-hmm. Another question from Camille. You want to grow in Waregem? Are internships a possibility too?
That is possible. We're not doing too much internships because of the fact that we already grow a lot by really junior people, and that's also requiring a lot of attention from both the partners and the more senior people in the organization. So adding additional stagiaires, or how do you say, adding in more kind of role as I'm looking for the word internship, because there's a lot of requests on that, and also then to combine that in the vacation period. And for us, it's always it's mostly a very busy season, and then you try to make sure you can wind off around the 15th or the 20th of July, and to have yourself the earned to earn a bit of vacation and to get away from the day to business. And that's mostly the period where also the questions are to get the internship. So we're somewhat reluctant in the sense that to do it, because in September there's already new people starting off, and we also need sometimes some time off to reflect on the business. And I think once we have somewhat more structure that can absorb that, we're more willing to do that. But at this stage, there's if I think with 9 recruits past September and 8 the year before, we're still a really young organization. And adding to that for 2 months is sometimes a bit too intense to do.
That's understandable. I don't have any questions anymore. Some thank yous. Also, something nice. Hippolyte said, thanks. It was a nice presentation. It definitely feels good to be in a company where you can learn and grow in your career. So that's a nice thank you. Hereby, I would also like to thank you very much for this interesting presentation. I myself learned more about the positive and the negative sides of some companies and roles. I guess the students that watch this live too. And then if there's no other questions, I think that we can finish this lecture.
Yeah. Well, I think there's no bad way to start your career, but it's sometimes you will refocus on a number of things, and it's well, it depends what is important for you at the moment you decide. It starts with self knowledge, and I think that self knowledge will certainly grow in the years ahead, and I think well. As I said, making sure that you feel that the culture that of the persons that you have spoken enough with enough people of an organization to make sure that you feel this is the right organization for you to start off with.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, great. Thank you. Then I'll stop this live.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.